Hi, I'm Jessica Koo Kim. I am the Senior Director of Workforce Development at the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation, and excited to be here today with two guests from our California community colleges, James Morante, who is the Statewide Director for Energy, Construction, and Utilities, and Larry McLaughlin, who is the Regional Director of Business Engagement in Orange County, also for Energy, Construction, and Utilities. Thank you for coming today.
Thanks for having us.
What are you guys seeing in terms of the interest for renewable energies?
We're in a unique time in California for energy occupations, both between policy and regulatory changes as well as the automation and technology changes. More than a dozen of the occupations within our sector are going to experience double-digit growth over the next decade. So that presents a great opportunity for demand, and it also is beholden on us to actually create that supply as well and create and reduce the awareness gaps that surround a lot of the changing occupations.
The market is going to be growing here, unlike anywhere else in the United States, perhaps the world, for distributed energy resources. Because of that, we're going to have a need for more people that can successfully install, maintain, service, program these systems.
Are there any policies or state initiatives that you've seen that is propelling the growth here?
Well, we certainly have the renewable portfolio standards here in California. We'll have to have more energy storage. Cities create their own standards too in terms of carbon emissions and energy efficiency. That's driving this demand here in the state.
And you're out there talking with businesses. What are you hearing that's really exciting?
The regulatory and policy changes driving energy efficiency, driving carbon reduction, is really changing the nature of what had been perhaps a decade ago more of technician positions and opportunities are now much more program management, project management, and requires a different skill set and competency. And so we recognize that, and it's really changing the way that we train for HVAC technicians, air conditioning technicians, lighting and controls. It's really changing the nature of what used to be a nice to have is now a core competency, and we're changing the way we address the development of curriculum and the way we approach businesses on creating that next level of sourcing opportunities for them for the next generation of employees.
We see the impact of these new technologies, cutting across a variety of occupations and creating skill demands. Electricians, electronic technicians, even in the IT fields, we'll need more people who have an understanding of how these systems work, how they are to be integrated, how they're programmed and operated effectively. In a lot of cases, we're talking about new skill sets for existing occupations.
Definitely, and as these changes happen, there's automation, there's new technology. They have a current workforce that they're often looking to upskill.
One of the applications that is really coming into its own is microgrids. They bring together a variety of energy generation sources, and they coordinate those sources with the various loads that might be on those sources. So the integration controls relies heavily on networking, on control systems that have to be programmed.
One example is facility management. It's an emerging need and a very high demand. In fact, there are 300 opportunities for every one qualified candidate. The median salary is $93,000. And so we're working very closely with not only global associations, but their members to really drive that next generation. And what we found is that facility management isn't necessarily a technician position any longer. It requires a different skill set and different competencies, but to be successful, down at Chaffey College, we launched the initial pilot program where we addressed business students about those opportunities and had them complete their program, but then added on some additional coursework that then provided that source for those employers in the Inland Empire. That program is now scaled to Northern California in the Bay Area and here in Los Angeles as well. So that's one example of how the evolution of energy positions has really impacted the community colleges and how we go about creating programs to address industry's needs.
So in tomorrow's buildings, we'll have, again, all of these electrical systems operating together, integrated and controlled efficiently. And to do that efficiently, we're going to need people who understand how to automate these systems. We're working on curriculum, fundamentals, and automation certificate. And very soon we'll be moving to a curriculum for building automation systems. For example, buildings, corporate campuses, educational campuses, corporate parks, shopping malls. There's a variety of settings where automation is going to play a critical role, where all of these settings will have on site, potentially, solar energy power generation. They'll have the means of storing energy. They'll have the means of coordinating those sources, those resources, with the loads that exist there. And by loads, I mean the energy consumers, a major one being an HVAC system.
What are some of the challenges that you're seeing in terms of getting folks now to come?
Well, a lot of it is about barriers, awareness, and marketing. These employers and ourselves need to reach communities in underrepresented areas that haven't had traditional exposure, but may certainly have an aptitude and an interest once they know. And so we're being very diligent about working with community-based organizations and other training organizations on those skill sets, bringing industry into the table, bringing them to the table, into the classroom, and really connecting those dots at a local level, on an occupational level, so that there is a full awareness within a lot of these communities. So we're focusing a lot around the electrical positions and programs, the HVAC programs, construction programs, automation programs that we have in Southern California, and working with community-based organizations on exactly demystifying the programs and the opportunities where you could work, what the salaries may be. The programs are there, as you mentioned, the programs are there, the industry partnerships are there.
What do you think is the most exciting thing about being a member of the workforce in the renewable energy sector?
Well, I think the most exciting thing is having a role to play in improving the environment, climate in particular.
To be able to have purpose and contribute to tomorrow with living wage, high-paying careers that you do not need a 4-year degree for. You can get a certificate, you can go to a community college for an associate degree and still have, again, well-paying careers locally.
Can you give us an example of how you're working with faculty?
So one example is that we've put together a set of training materials that are on the subject of microgrids, introduction to microgrid applications, technologies, value, and economics. In the case of energy storage, we're covering 10 different energy storage technologies in this.
In the energy sector, it's not necessarily about creating new programs, but again, it's about retooling faculty, it's about remarketing those opportunities, because the occupations are relatively stable. It's the skill set and competencies to be successful and to be competitive in that sector is what is evolving, and so we're adapting current programs. As we talk about automation and technology within the energy sector, right? Automation is not an occupation. It's a skill set and competency that transcends the energy sector.
Yeah, work closely with faculty in the process. We just need to do that in a very collaborative fashion.
Well, thank you so much, Larry and James, for making time to do this, and we look forward to supporting you guys as you guys support the growing workforce in renewable energy.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.